This part of Chapter 5 talks about some of the practice problems. The key to solve time value of money questions is to understand the questions. So, before you start to do the problems, please read the questions carefully. Identify what is given and what is not given. If the question is difficult, please draw a timeline to help you understand the question. Then attribute the question as a present value, future value, annuity, or amortization question. The last step is to use financial calculator to solve the question. Suppose you plan to deposit $100 into an account in 1 year and $300 into the account in 3 years. How much will be in the account in 5 years if the interest rate is 8%? Please pause and spend a few minutes thinking of this question and then turn to the next slide for the answers. This question is different from the questions we have seen in Chapter 4. There are 2 cash flows here. This is what we mean multiple cash flow. After drawing a timeline, we see that there are 2 cash flows, one happens at time 1 and the other happens at time 3. The question asks us to find out the value at time 5. So, this is a multiple cash flow future value problems. To obtain the multiple cash flow future values, we need to find the future value of each cash flow and then sum them up. So, for the first cash flow 100, future value equals present value times 1 plus interest rate power n. This n is 4, which is calculated as the difference between 5 and 1, which is the difference between years. For the second cash flow 300, future value equals present value 300 times 1 plus interest rate 8% to the power of 2, which is 5 minus 3. After obtaining the cash flows, we simply add them up and get the future value of these 2 cash flows as 485.97. Suppose you invest $500 in a mutual fund today and $600 in 1 year. If the fund pays 9% annually, how much will you have in 2 years? This is a very similar example. Please pause and solve it. The answers are on the next slide. This slide shows the answers. Please make sure you can understand it. You are considering an investment that will pay you $1,000 in 1 year, $2,000 in 2 years, and $3,000 in 3 years. If you want to earn 10% on your money, how much would you be willing to pay? This is a multiple cash flow present value question. Please first draw the timeline and then think of how to solve it. The answer is on the next slide. Another important point to keep in mind is, this question talks about an investment project and asks for the price for this investment project. One basic concept in finance is price of an investment is always the present value of its future cash flows. This slide shows the answers to the previous question. There are 3 cash flows, and we need to find out the present values of these 3 cash flows. So, what we need to do is to find the present value of each cash flow and then sum them up. We know the formula to find the present value of future value. So, for the first cash flow, we discount it back, which is 1,000 divided by 1 plus 10% to the power of 1, because from time 1 to time 0, there is only 1 period. For the second cash flow, it is 2,000 divided by 1 plus 10% to the power of 2, because from time 2 to time 0, there are 2 periods. For the third cash flow, it is 3,000 divided by 1 plus 10% to the power of 3, because from time 3 to time 0, there are 3 periods. Then we add all the numbers up to get the present value of all these cash flows. There's an additional short video about how to use financial calculator to get the present value of multiple cash flows. Please stop now and take a look at that video. Financial calculator can greatly reduce the time needs to find the present value of multiple cash flows. Your broker calls you and tells you that he has this great investment opportunity. If you invest $100 today, you will receive $40 in 1 year and $75 in 2 years. If you require a 15% return on investments of this risk, should you take the investment? Please pause and do this problem yourself. This question needs some analysis. This is an investment project. The cost is $100. The cash flow it generates is $40 in 1 year and $75 in 2 years. The question asks about whether we should take this investment. The key is to find the real value of this investment, which is its present value, and then compare the value with the cost. So, what we should is to find the present value of $40 in year 1 and $75 in year 2. The present value is $91.49, smaller than the cost of the present $100, so we will not take this investment.